Welcome back everyone. Today, as usual, we are going to do some small upgrades at Outbase. But let's follow the instructions this time. We have to get ready for emotional trauma. To do so, I think we should start by gathering even more minerals. Don't worry, this time, we are using void miners which do not run out, they keep mining forever. We also need some mysterious crystals, which can only be obtained by Callisto's rocks. Luckily this planet is not a finite geometrical shape but an infinite land. We now need something overpowered to process all of these ores. Let's craft something OP. You know what? Even if it is overpowered, it might not be enough. Let's make 3 more. Maybe next time. And here we go. Now I think we should get some help for the next tasks. Let's start making some nanites to help us. And a couple more ore plants. While nanites will help us with circuits, we also do need something better for making components. I think this component assembly line will be the best choice for our case. However, it looks like we lack the resources for completing its structure. Fear not. All we have to do is feed some ognes into our miners to multiply the production by a factor of 64. However, we are now running low on power, again. And thus we shall take a small break and power up our helium plant, since it makes some power as byproduct. Now we do have more power but we still have to wait for the completion of the tasks we queued early on. So, let's use this time for showing God that we are no longer noobs. Let's do that by crafting a certificate that will prove it. Thanks to the overclock, it will be manageable. Anyways, as I was saying, while we are waiting for our certificate to be forged, we can start building some more ore processing plants. However, we were not only running out of ores but also of fluids. Anyways, to get so many fluids, we need to research a better pump, and, to do so, we have to increase the power of our crypto mining farm by adding some GPUs in its computers. After some more tinkering, we have managed to make our farm reach 3,900 yotaflops, so many flops that not even this dream keeps up with it. And we are now at half the process of forging our certificate. While we wait, we can complete our nano forge. However, this is just the tier 1, which seems to be useful only for unlocking the tier 2. Now we have found one issue: this place is not fit for such a big multiblock. We shall move it in a more appropriate place. And we shall also have a better power system to keep it up and running. Now that we can bring it to tier 2, it is time to find out that we have misplaced it, so, time to rebuild it again. However, this time, let's make a better wrench for the job. And proceed into using it like savages. Now we proceed into rebuilding the whole thing, this time, at the maximum tier since it is not that costly. And this is the finished work. Since we have 5 hours left, I think we should start thinking about project assembly. Even though we have almost all the materials, this thing requires a lot of assembly line craftings. I think it is a good idea to review our line setups to make crafting huge amounts of things easier. And here we go. We now have arranged all the researched patterns in a data bank that is shared across our assembly lines. Now, if we want to be hired by Fixit Incorporated before the next Christmas, we have to start working on project assembly. And also we must be aware of the capacity of our cobblestone storage. We are quite close to completely filling it. We should probably start working on a better storage, but it appears to be a convoluted process. It is now time to fetch our certificate. It looks like the gods did not accept our certificate. That has to be because we did not go through the emotional trauma. We do still lack some of the materials for the trauma. But, fear not, we are working on a machine that will fix every issue. While we wait, we can start working on making a better cobblestone storage. We should also check our base every now and then. Sometimes, the traffic lights get stuck on red forever. Now we have to find an appropriate place for this chunky thing. We should probably ask the CEO of Fixit Incorporated for some tips. This place looks good enough. Let's take a selfie for Reddit before it gets shutted down. Next we shall farm some mobs to increase our level so that the gods might notice us. We max out the length of our fusion tunnel. And, while working on the meds for the trauma, we can't help but notice that we are genuinely going to need to increase our helium plasma plant for the helium. But the issue is rather about the usage than the production, though. Let's just say I was lazy with the argon setup. While we wait, we can dedicate ourselves to activities such as making half of the Kevlar line. I have recorded this activity and it took me 3 days to upload the video without failures. We go retrieve the miner that is collecting Enceladus stone and move it to a place that has a stone which contains unstable dust. After these brief distractions, we finally can have a proper extraction of Infinity Catalyst. And finally, we can start preparing the meds for the emotional trauma. And the gods have finally accepted us in their holy land. We have made some progress. Here you can see a collection of 54 multiblocks. They are all required to make only one single output. Kevlar. We are going to need it for higher tier circuit and, most importantly, for our mother spaceship. Talking of space, we must not forget about crafting the parts for our space elevator. Let's do some of them. We also need to make one compact Mk2 reactor. We only need it for researching Mk3. It looks like we only lack deep iron for that craft. This could be avoidable by changing some of our patterns. We are still using some old recipes that are now outperformed by the new ones we have unlocked with all of our progression. Let's see where all of that trinium is being used. On a second thought, maybe the best solution is just the simplest one. Void miners go bra ra 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 ra. Talking of old stuff, we should really do something about these old HV reactors. Let's do some better wiring and pump them a bit. And here we go. Now they work a lot faster. While we wait for our other projects, we can do some experiments with DNA and other weird stuff. We have found a cure for some diseases, but that's not our objective. We are mastering the bacteria of our own planet so that we can move on to the extraterrestrial ones. Now we put our new lab-produced mutated alien bacteria into a vat, so that we can increase our collection of delicious refreshing beverages. While our artificial yeast is making drinks and AE2 is crafting a compact fusion reactor, we take a moment to appreciate our newly built space elevator. That thing is so powerful that it can shoot us way beyond the moon. It can even launch us straight to Pluto. And it also placed ourselves inside a lander. And, on a side note, I didn't even plug the power to that thing. I do wonder where it could send us to if I gave it some power. Now, I do know that after our mineral extraction Pluto shrinked so much that it's not longer considered as a planet, but it still does have some nests of mutant alien wolf. More than wolves, they look like rabbits. Look at how it runs away after you punch it twice. Our hunt gave us a schematic that we swiftly scanned for our research purposes. We are planning to make a shuttle to go build our future mothership, which we will use to conquer the multiverse. While our multiverse domination plan is on the working, let's do some home brewing. We will need something really dank for celebrating such achievement. First we need to brew some alien plants inside our xenoxine to make some raw radux. Next we distill it and take out only the most fine part, light radux. Then we crack it twice using silver plasma. We distill again the result, to finally obtain some radux gas. Then, we just add some extra plasma in it, shake it, and we obtain the super high class molten radux polymer. Don't drink it all at once. Now let's make something useful in our nanoforge, some silver nanites that will speed up our PCB factory. And here you can see how cute they look. We are sharing them between our two PCB factories. We made two factories due to some issues with the cooling, but also because we want this one to better use the materials. To do so, we are going to make it work at 50 microns instead of 100. Now, while we are crafting our first ultimate battery, let's see how this new Tier 9 rocket works. I hope the fuel for the Tier 8 rocket will be fine. And off we go. As you can see, many things changed, but let's go in order. First thing, we let AE2 take care of the longest part, making A2MV batteries. Here you can see it working on the last 4. Next we shall personally place all the ingredients in the assembly line. To make this moment more memorable, we should have created a pattern for that thing though. This is a very delicate crafting. If anything goes wrong, we could lose 1 week worth of resources and crafting. Next we shall replace our PSS with the newly acquired battery. And here we go. From the infographic you can see that the amount of energy our new storage can hold is higher than we can pronounce. Next we are going to finally work on our mothership. While stuff is crafting, we can start doing the math for how powerful our thrusters must be. Here you can see our accurate measures of the weight of some blocks. Now that all the parts are ready, we can finally launch ourselves into space. Next we create a new mothership and proceed into landing on it. And here's our newly built mothership. Now we have to figure out how to use it. But first we should add some engines. We are using the cooler ones not because they are faster, but because they do not require us to make a facility for the aquad fuel. These run on power. The electric power requirement is incredibly low, but it looks like they also need some liquid. So we shall get some xenon. Luckily, AE2 can reach us even up there. However, this is not xenon and we have to go back in our base to get some of it. While here, we refill our oxygen and fuel tanks. Next we do some extra xenon production using some matter. We take the little drops that our distillery extracted from air and fly to our mothership. Hopefully, our space elevator which can reach Pluto can also reach our mothership. Or maybe not. We then proceed into building our launch pad over a solid spot. You can see how solid it is by the way it refracts the exhausts of our rocket. And here we are. Now, while the engines are refueling, I think it's a good time to customize our mothership. We shall have a proper icon for it, like this one. Now, after spending a lot of time searching for our target planet, we realize that we lack of fuel, and our engines can't even hold so much. I think the best idea is to trim the unneeded mass of our ship. However, it looks like this didn't work. Let's try to first reach a midway spot and then go to the destination from there. We are now moving, as you can see from the stars almost hitting us. And here you can see our engines throwing away our precious xenon. Now that we have arrived, we can notice that the distance is now longer, so we go back to Earth. While our new engines are crafting, we shall find a better and faster way to reach our mothership. This rocket is kinda lame, so let's just put our personal world linker on our mothership, so that we can say that we have relocated our base in a compressed space on our mothership. And I think this is a good moment for crafting a plan B to get back to Earth. Now that our relocator is ready, we only have to set it up. Now that we have increased our propulsion power, we can finally travel to other stars. However, it looks like we lack a little bit of energy for going straight to the destination. Our engine would need to be able to carry around 1000 more EU. I wish we had a battery capable of holding an unspeakable amount of power. But that is not a big deal. We can still reach the Ra star. This is a long journey. We could stay here watching all the stars almost colliding with us, but I think we should be more productive, so let's go into our pocket dimension. Don't worry too much about our lack of power. With the new materials, we are going to improve our power production. Anyways, while we are waiting, we can start working forward to the next tier of circuits, the optical series. These circuits are going to need a lot of components and processing. For now, let's start with procuring some purified water. Apparently, our distilled water is not pure enough. So, first we are going to sift the bigger impurities out of some vanilla water. Next we are going to heat it a bit. Then we run it through a distillation tower. We use a laser to shoot some bacteria out of it. We filter it with some zeolite in a chemical reactor. We shoot it again with a laser, this time using the MEMA lens. One more run in a distillation tower. And finally, we make some nanites have a bath in it to take out some unknown quantum particles. And this is the complete setup we just described. Anyways, we have now arrived and it's time to land on these new planets. The first one is pretty boring and only has some magnetic mineral. The second one has the best bounties, which you can now see on the screen. And it had some cool dungeons. However, the most dangerous planet was, without doubt, the third one. At first it looked specific with nice animals, but we had to hide our void miner for its own safety. While the miners are working, we must also check what kind of sick job our new helper is doing. And it appears that he is working on making lag. and a lot of visual glitches. Now that we have enough resources, we can start crafting some proper turbines. And we proceed into making them to good use. Now it may looks like our power issues are fixed, but it is not. All we did was moving the issue from the battery to our americium plasma tank.